Join me for the latest reviews and news of the Disney Plus streaming series Star Wars The Mandalorian right here at mandominute.com. Welcome back, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking for our Omni-Channel oven today and on simmering on the storytelling stovetop, and that is the Disney Plus streaming series Star Wars The Mandalorian, Chapter 7, The Reckoning. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of the Mandalorian Kitchen TV. That's right, I'm here to tell you about the latest episode of Disney Plus streaming series Star Wars The Mandalorian. Let's get straight away into Chapter 7, The Reckoning. This was my favorite episode so far, I would say. I was quite surprised by the announcement that it was going to drop 2 days early, landing on Wednesday as opposed to the traditional Friday. And so that made me want to watch it before I saw The Rise of Skywalker, which meant that there was a timing issue here, because by the time it dropped and downloaded and I got ready and was ready to run out, anyway, it was a quick watch, but I got to watch it a second time before I did this review. I just actually filmed my review of The Rise of Skywalker, and you can watch that here in the card. And in The Rise of Skywalker, we see Rey do some special things with her Force abilities that we also get to see the child, or the Yoda Baby, do in this particular episode. All right, let me give you a very quick synopsis and then I'll talk about my thoughts. Again, these are all spoilers here. So if you live outside of the United States, Canada, or some of the other territories where Disney Plus has slowly been rolling out in, and you don't want this spoiled, then you should watch something else. But if you want to listen to me talk about the episode and give some analysis, then go ahead. I'll also be talking about The Rise of Skywalker a little bit in this episode, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers about that, then please also watch after you've seen that particular film, because I don't want to ruin that for anyone. That just wouldn't be fair. All right, Chapter 7, The Reckoning. Remember, there's only one chapter left, and man, this episode ends on a cliffhanger. I'm glad that this is not Chapter 8, because I wouldn't want to wait another year to find out what happens. So hopefully we'll get a conclusion to that. Okay, in Chapter 7, we start off with the Mandalorian flying in space. Karga there, the character portrayed by Carl Weathers, he comes up on the hologram, and he says, hey, listen, Mando, I want to give you a chance at one last job. And I see it this way. You helped me kill the client, and that's the character that Werner Herzog is portraying. And he's, again, that famous actor. He's hasn't been in a lot of episodes beyond the first and the second one. So it's great that we're going to get to see him again in this episode. And he basically says, listen, if you take out the client, I will help you restore your reputation, as well as the child will be safe. And so the Mandalorian is thinking about it a bit, and he's like, Mando, you know this is the only way. And I need your help because the client has brought with him a bunch of Imperials. They have pretty much put the guild's planet under siege, and so therefore they can't conduct any business. And so he's guaranteeing the Mandalorian his safety if he will do this final bounty for him. And then he'll release him from the guild, reputation intact, and he's all good. So the Mandalorian says he'll just pretty much signs off. And then the Mandalorian flies back to the planet that we saw him at in chapter 4. And that was the chapter when he went to the jungle planet, when he helped the locals from the raiders. That was the episode with the ATST raider that I have here in Lego form. And so it was from that episode and those raiders that were there. So he goes back to that planet. He meets up again with Cara Dune, and he says, Cara, I got a job for you. I need you to help me with this. Cara says she's not interested in earning any money. She doesn't need the job. She's out. Mando says that, well, it's not here to take out guild members. We're here to take out the Empire. Cara immediately says, I'm in. Because remember, she's a shock trooper, former shock trooper for the rebellion. So she's happy to take out more Imperials, right? So that's where we are in the story. Or that's where she is anyway in her character development. But it's good to see her again. So Mando gets her on board. Mando then returns to the planet. Oh, by the way, since I'm saying Mando as a reminder, if you want to go directly to this playlist at any time for all the latest news, reviews, and information about The Mandalorian, then you can go right here to mandominute.com. It resides here on MarketingKitchenTV, but you can just go right here to mandominute.com to go straight to the playlist and then bypass the rest of my content if you're only interested in Mandalorian reviews, news, etc. While I'm giving a plug very quickly too, I want to tell you about AppFlicks, and you can go there by going to appflicks.com. AppFlicks is a new platform that I've created with news and reviews and trailers for your favorite streaming series, but not just TV and film, also games, sports, and music. So it's all things streaming. And soon it will be launching fully in 2020. You can go there now though and check it out. Create a profile and get started. But in 2020, it'll also have a video platform where you'll be able to create or watch the streaming content of others. So anyway, again, that's AppFlicks, and you can go directly there by going to appflickstv.com. Okay, and in the near future, I'll be doing reviews, both written and video, on that channel, as well as again here on Marketing Kitchen TV where you're watching me. All right, enough about that. So Mando, after taking Cara Dune along with him, he then returns back to the planet that he rescued or picked up the child from, and he then goes and visits the Ugnaught that had helped him in chapters 2 and chapter 3. Helped him by showing him where the child was at, helped him by negotiating with the Jawas to get his ship repaired, right? If you remember those two episodes. So that was chapter 2 and chapter 3. Anyway, the Ugnaught's back. We see that IG-88 IG-11 is back, but not the same IG-11. So the Ugnaught found him after the Mandalorian left him. He mentions that under the code of the New Republic, it was finders keepers. He rebuilt him, he reprogrammed him, and it's no longer a bounty hunter killer. He's utilizing the droid to do tasks around the house, if you will. So anyway, the Mandalorian is not very trusting of that because he doesn't want him anywhere near the child, because his mission was to kill the child, if you remember from chapter 2. We find out the name of the Ugnaught. His name is, I think it's not Quill, it's like Quirrell? The name is only mentioned twice in the episode, once by the Ugnaught Nick Nolte, the other by Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian. So, but Quirrell, something like that. Quirrell, I think it was. Anyway, he shares with us that 3 of their lifetimes he'd been serving the Empire, I believe he had said. So he is out of servitude. He doesn't want to have anything to do with working again. He's his own man, because the Mandalorian says that he wants to hire him, he wants to help him, he wants his help, but the Ugnaught says that no, he's not for hire, he doesn't do work anymore. The Mandalorian explains a bit about the situation, that it's to protect the child. And so what ends up happening is sort of still undecided. So they're staying overnight, and the Mando and Cara Dune's character, they were actually horsing around with each other and to see who was stronger. And then we see the Yoda Baby put up his 3 cute fingers again, and he force chokes Cara Dune because he thinks that she's harming the Mandalorian. And so the Mandalorian runs up, stops the child from doing it, and then anyway, they have a discussion about the fact that they never mention the Force, but the Ugnaught, or Quirrell there, mentions that he has heard about that, about powers and abilities when he was serving underneath the Empire. He then decides that the child is special and that the Mandalorian does need his help. So they board 3 of his two-legged dewback creatures aboard the Mandalorian ship. I didn't realize it was so large to accommodate 3 of those creatures with it. He, IG-11, and Cara Dune go along with the child and the Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian calls up to Karga, says that we're on our way, gives him a spot to meet. They go and they land on the planet that's there. They actually land in a remote area of the planet outside of the city, and he's greeted there by Carl Weathers' character, who also then has 3 guild members with him. He's actually quite surprised to see that he had brought reinforcements with him in the form of Cara Dune and the Ugnaught, and IG-11, I believe, is still on board the ship, and he doesn't come out at this time. Vince Karga there, whatever his name is, I'll get these names down when the season's over. He says he wants to see what's so special about the child, the package. And so he opens it up, and then he picks up the Yoda Baby, and he says, "Oh wow, it's really cute. I can see why you didn't want any harm to befall it." He puts it back into the hamper. He's now in the same type of movable hamper that he was in originally, because the Ugnaught creates one for him, and I thought that was a nice touch. So the Ugnaught remains on board the ship. And then the 3 Union members, Carl Weathers' character, Mando, Cara Dune, Ugnaught, and the 3 beasts all go on their way, and they're going to camp out overnight, and at first light they're going to go in, they're formulating what their plan was anyway, to go take out the client. Anyway, I'll save you with all the details that are there. Basically what happens is that they're attacked at night by winged beasts, so let's just call them pterodactyls or like dragon-like creatures, but they were pretty good size. They were large enough that they were able to pick up these smaller dewback-like lizard creatures and fly off with one of them. So that's pretty good size. And of course they took away one of the guild members that were there for protection for the Mandalorian. They almost took off with the Mandalorian. Cara Dune shot that one, but Carl Weathers' character is either bitten or clawed by one, and he's dying because they're either poison bite or poison scratch. And so she's trying to save Cara Dune's character's the character there. She's trying to save him by hypo spraying him. That's not working. And so then what happens is that the Yoda Baby gets out of his little crib. Cara's like, "Get that thing away from me." The Ugnaught says, "No, wait." And so he puts his 3 fingers out, and he actually heals him. So the wound closes up completely, and he's now healed. So now, spoiler, something similar to this happens in The Rise of Skywalker. All right, that's all I'll say for that. So, okay, so Rise of Skywalker, spoiler warning over. So Carl Weathers is touched by the fact, and he's like, "Wow, this is a special child." All right, so the next day they're up in the morning and they're talking about what their plan is going to be, and something seems a little bit fishy. And the Mandalorian is getting a sense that that there is really no plan here, and that he's about to be betrayed. And just when he thinks that's about to happen, Quirrell Weathers' character pulls out his blaster and he shoots, but he doesn't shoot at the Mandalorian and Cara Dune. He shoots at the two remaining guild members and kills them both. He then confesses that, Mando, my plan was to turn you over to the client and so to get them to, you know, allow me to get back into business. But after the child saving my life last night, I can't betray you, or I can't betray it. So anyway, they formulate a plan. So the plan is that the Ugnaught is going to take the child and back to the ship. Meanwhile, Mandalorian, Cara Dune, and Quirrell Weathers' character there, Karga, are going to go to the client. They're going to take the bassinet with them, but it's going to be empty, so it's going to be a fake job. Quirrell Weathers says is that the client never has more than 4 stormtroopers with them at the time. Cara Dune will be able to take him out. Anyway, they cuff the Mandalorian. Cara, her tattoo shows that she was a rebel shock trooper, so she covers that up so that's not a dead giveaway. And the cover is anyway that she's the one who actually brought the Mandalorian in at the behest of Karga. So they go, they see the client, and so they do some little chit chat, etc. And the client says, I would like to see the child. And so it's like, oh, he's sleeping. Well, I still want to see the child. Can I offer you a drink? And so, yeah, sure. So anyway, he gets up, he goes to the bar, and he then said, oh yeah, they get the drink. He says, oh, a stormtrooper says to him, you need to take a call. He gets up, excuse me for a second. He goes over to the bar, and in the holo thing, we see a Moff. So somebody in an outfit similar to General Veers, that similar type of Imperial armor that an upper level officer would wear, sort of that base plate. And so he says, do you have the child? And he says, yeah, but it's sleeping. So he's like, have you seen it yet? And he goes, no. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of laser blasts happen. And from outside, a bunch of death troopers that we saw in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, they actually shoot into the bar. They kill the client, they kill the stormtroopers, but miraculously, of course, Cara Weathers' character, so Cara Dune, Karga, and the Mandalorian are all fine, but they're pinned down. Then, followed by the death troopers, we see, and it was so awesome, if you remember the Kenner Star Wars toy, it was the Imperial troop transport. It was actually never in A New Hope, but Kenner had created this vehicle that held 3 stormtroopers on each side. It had 2 swinging doors, and you could have the Death Star commander pilot it. And you used to be able to press buttons on that ship, and it would give voices of different Star Wars characters. Anyway, it was canonized again now by being in this episode. It was first seen in Star Wars Rebels, which is a great touch by Dave Filoni. Perhaps he inspired this, or this was Jon Favreau's touch as well too. But anyway, we see that. Oh, this episode is directed by Deborah Chow. She did that episode I mentioned that was on the Jungle Planet, which chapter 4, which was quite excellent. So this is now her 2nd episode directing, and she is going to be the director of all the episodes for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. And she was actually one of those X-Wing pilots at the end of chapter 6 last week. So it was Dave Filoni, it was Rick Fatima, sorry that I'm mispronouncing it. He was the director of chapter 6, and then also Deborah Chow. So anyway, sorry for the side note. And so then we see more stormtroopers get out. A couple of those arrive. They're actually larger than the Kenner version one. So a couple of like squadrons of troopers come out, and they're pinned down. We see a TIE fighter come into the from the sky. Well, we hear it and we see it fly in. It's a traditional Imperial TIE fighter. And when the TIE fighter comes, the way the TIE fighter lands, it was really cool how the wings, so actually I don't have a TIE fighter out here, but the wings actually, they fold out and landing gear comes out of the sorry, it's 4:30 in the morning now. Anyway, so landing gear comes out of the two arms that the TIE fighter wings are attached to. Anyway, I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know, is that in canon? I don't remember seeing that before. If it is, please write in the comment. I'm curious if you've seen anything like that. But I thought that was a cool way to have a TIE fighter land. And then, or maybe they showed that in Star Wars Rebels. Anyhow, we see the Moff character that we saw in the hologram earlier get out. He walks over to the standing with all the squadron behind him, and he basically says, you guys need to surrender. He also, so what happens is the Mandalorian, by the way, gets on the microphone and he tells the Ugnaught, you need to get back to the ship and lock yourself in it. We're pinned down here. You actually need to take off. So actually, yeah, sorry, the original plan was just to get into the ship and lock himself in. Now it was, we're not getting out. You need to get the child off of the planet. But the message is intercepted by two scout troopers. Those are the ones that are on the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi. And these two troopers get on their speeder bikes and they start going in the direction of where the signal was. And we see them catch up to the Ugnaught riding on the dewback-like creature, carrying the child with him. And then in the next, and then we see a split screen to the Mandalorian saying, you know, Quill, where are you? Where are you? You know, are you at the ship? And he doesn't respond anything back. So the episode then ends where we see the Ugnaught and the dewback-like creature have been shot. They're on the ground. The speeder bike trooper grabs the child as he swings by in his speeder bike, and then they're going to go back to the town. So our protagonists are pinned down in the cantina. The child is now in the arms of the remnants of the Empire, and the Moff is standing outside with, I think, 7 or so Death Troopers, as well as a couple of squadrons of Stormtroopers. That's how the episode ends. Like, really? Fantastic. This was, action-wise, probably the best episode of the season so far. And that's good, because you know, the Tatooine episode, directed by Dave Filoni, was fun, fan service. Didn't really move the story forward much. Chapter 6 last week with the prisoner didn't really move the story forward. So the gunslinger was chapter 5, right? And so chapter 6 was the prisoner. Neither of those really, they didn't, not even really. They didn't drive the story forward at all. We still don't know who the character was that was at the end of the gunslinger episode. Hopefully that will be revealed in chapter 8 next week. Or if I think maybe that's going to skip a week, so double check on that. You know, when I find out, I'll write it in the description. But there you have it. So that was The Reckoning, chapter 7, cliffhanger. I cannot wait till chapter 8. As a Star Wars fan, I feel so spoiled. Where and as I mentioned, I got to build this awesome Lego employee exclusive, the Yuletide Xmas wing with these exclusive figures. Wow, I'm just so excited that I have this. I had the Rise of Skywalker, and I've got the Mandalorian. Like, as a Star Wars fan, there's never been a greater time to be a Star Wars fan, I don't think, anyway. And then in January starts up again the Clone Wars. So just so cool that we've got Star Wars is back again. And I think that the overall reaction to The Rise of Skywalker is going to be quite positive. I enjoyed the film. I encourage you to go to see it. My non-spoiler review of that I posted on Instagram, which can be found right here's my Instagram, which is just at Ronald Vining, it was that it's an action-packed film that obviously a fan of The Force Awakens will love because it continues that narrative. Fans of The Last Jedi, it doesn't go out of its way to, but it certainly rehabilitates The Last Jedi without disrespecting it. So there's something for everyone in The Rise of Skywalker, which is good. And there's definitely some ties to the Force abilities of the Yoda Baby here, the child, and what you will see if you haven't seen it already, The Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, I'm just excited about this. I'm running overtime. I try to keep these episodes quick. I think this might be the longest one because I'm also talking about Rise of Skywalker as well too, which I should stop doing. Please come back next week or 2 weeks from now when Chapter 8 drops. And again, I'll write in the description about when the release date for Chapter 8 will be, just as confirmation that's there. And I am just so excited this was such an emotional episode with an emotional cliffhanger. So I'm excited to see what happens in the finale, which is Chapter 8 of The Mandalorian. Okay, I appreciate you coming to visit us here. There's always something fresh simmering on our storytelling stovetop. Please don't keep Marketing Kitchen TV a secret. I need you to tell your family and friends about it. It'd be fantastic if you could subscribe and to like our videos. Please share them. We recently hit 1,000+ subscribers. I think we're at 1,022. But hey, I'll take 1,023. So please subscribe, please like, please share. I would greatly appreciate having this channel grow so that I can put out more videos just to share my love of things like Lego, Star Wars, and of course marketing, because I'm Ron Vining, your host, and this is the Mandalorian. No, it's the Marketing Kitchen. So that's why we have marketing content here on the Marketing Kitchen TV, just temporarily hijacked by the Mandalorian, making it the Mandalorian Kitchen TV. All right, I look forward to seeing you again in our next episode.